or anything, but I want to welcome you to Mount Juliet Monday. Got another great program today. We always appreciate City Manager Kenny Martin for taking time to kind of share an update, whatever might be going on. We do it with him once a month, and whether it's an update or maybe there's even a few things. I know there's a couple of new things from the Planning Commission in July that are in the pipeline now. Maybe we can talk about, but with that, good morning, Kenny.
Morning, everybody, and thanks for having me, Mark. Uh, yeah, so I hope everybody had a good weekend. I was talking about a little bit there about my new grandson coming, so we had a great weekend with that, and the weather was beautiful. Got a little bit of needed rain. You'd say needed. We've had plenty of rain, but nothing's better than when you cut your grass and then it rains like an hour later. That's perfect timing.
Sure looks nice the next morning too.
It does.
Comes
It
up and it's a
does.
little damp.
Yeah, my grass has never been better than it is this year. It literally looks like a golf course.
Yeah. So, hey, what big day for Wilson County, Mount Juliet. Unusual traffic patterns this morning with school, but nice to see teachers parking lots with cars in them, and I'm assuming there were buses out. I didn't see any school buses, but traffic was light, but it's an exciting time and probably a confusing time for a lot of people in Mount Juliet.
It is. I can only imagine. Of course, my wife retired from teaching. Of course, Miss Phyllis, retired from education. But they know what it's like to have to go in, and start getting things ready for a new school year. And this year is unlike any we've ever dealt with before. I've got a daughter-in-law that still teaches, and I was talking to her a little bit this weekend about what they were going through. And when I do my walks, I'll go by the Mount Juliet Middle School and saw a lot of the teachers there, and they were doing the parades and all. And so I want to give a big shout out to our educational system, because I know that I can only imagine how complex that is and all the moving parts and pieces and what they're having to go through and how much they love the kids, but then the concerns they've got with the COVID. I can't even fathom that, but we're in their corner. We've got their backs, anything they need, and we're going to get through this.
Well, if all goes well, we'll have a football game Friday night too, it sounds like.
Exactly. And, I can't imagine too, you think about the kids and what they've been through, and it's got to be so unique. You think that when we were younger, we would have loved to have a few extra days off, but since March, basically out of school, I think a lot of these kids are excited about getting back to school, and just need to try to keep everybody safe and keep the mask on, and sanitizers and hand washing, social distancing. That's going to be tough in school, but if anybody can do it, our educational system can.
Tyler gave us an update on what they were doing with the schools, and Chandler last Wednesday, I guess, and he was also asking for everybody to be careful. Remember not to be talking through the school zone. Slow down. Let somebody merge in. They may not know where they're going either. But looking at the Planning Commission agenda, kind of looking back through the minutes, the Planning Commission is this Thursday. Looking back through the minutes, some of the comments, at that time back in July, they expected the bridge construction to start in October, the Greenway to be done within a month, so perhaps that's getting close. We might, if there was ever an opportunity to do a ribbon cutting where everybody could spread out, perhaps a Greenway ribbon cutting is something we could do. That nearing completion?
It is, yes. The bridge will be starting as planned, hopefully in October. I know it's been a long time in the making, and unfortunately, you just got to jump through all the hurdles. The thing that cost us the most time was the right-of-way acquisition. You have quite a few businesses through there, but we got through that pretty well. Excited about that. It's going to make such a big difference, and that bridge is going to be absolutely beautiful, which I'm very excited about. Not only because of what it's going to do to help with traffic, but it is going to be if a bridge can be beautiful, it's going to be a beautiful bridge, especially compared to what we got there today. And so I'm very excited about that. And Mark, what was the other question? I'm sorry.
No, just the Greenway nearing completion.
Yep. As a matter of fact, I got a call this morning. There was a citizen that was concerned about, if you notice when you go down West Division, there's like a little bridge head wall that was added in to the way that the walking trail goes along the side of the road and gets really close. They built a little head wall there, and some people were concerned about, a car hitting that. Well, there'll be guardrails at each end that'll be added to make that safer. So we still got a lot of work to do on the Greenway. They got the seed and straw to go. They got a little bit of electric to go, some additional clearing to go, the punch list stuff. But at this particular point, citizens are already enjoying it. They've got some bollards to put up at the heads of the greenways. Anywhere where they intersect with the driveway or a road, there'll be a bollard there to keep cars from inadvertently driving down the trail. We're already seeing some of that, oddly enough, but unfortunately, those are the button-up items that just hadn't got done yet. So when it's all done, it'll be beautiful, it'll be safe, and we'll add the flags, of course, to the flag poles. There'll be some parking blocks in the parking lot to keep people from just being able to exit from anywhere in the parking lot. So still a lot to be done, but the trail itself, for the most part, if somebody wants to utilize it, can just be careful because it isn't quite done yet.
Bicycle friendly or walking only?
Bicycle friendly and walking as well. And we're going to encourage folks that ride the bikes. There's something that these bicyclists do. I like riding a bike, but I'm not a cyclist anymore and I'm not an expert at it. But when you walk, apparently you're supposed to stay to the right. And when a bicyclist comes to pass you from behind, they'll say on your left or whatever it is they do, or vice versa. And there's just a sort of a shared process that gets in. I've walked the one in Hermitage before and I had to learn the hard way. I was just sort of walking in the middle and all of a sudden out of nowhere, a bicyclist comes up from behind you. So if you got the earbuds and all in, you just have to get used to walking to one side of the trail. And I don't remember which side it was, but we'll have some educational stuff we'll put out at some point to explain that a little bit better.
It looks like the former Pinnacle Bank building has a new owner and going to nearly double the size of it with more office, certainly for Steve's company. I don't know if there'll be other office space or not, but 7-Eleven out at Golden Bear Parkway, and you mentioned something, the former mattress store beside the Tiger Market.
Yeah, there was the 7-Eleven. There's at least 3 different convenience markets looking to go in along Golden Bear. You know how it is. A lot of times they're looking on the front end, and it depends on who gets there first. It may eliminate somebody else from coming, but I think you'll probably see one at 40 right next door to the HCA Emergency Center. I think there's one that's going to go there for sure. I've been working with that property owner. And then, of course, when you go to the other side of the interstate, which is over on the north side of Golden Bear, there's one planned there real close to, I believe it's Volunteer Boulevard, I believe it is. And so 7-Eleven's actually expanding big time into Tennessee again. If people remember years and years ago, 7-Eleven was everywhere and they sort of went away. Well, now they're making a big comeback. I think they bought the Exxon that's on Mount Juliet Road. They're also at Thornton's Market that's looking at the corner of West Division and Old Lebanon Dirt Road. Don't know that that may get approved because the zoning there is CTC. So what I did ask them is said, I don't want to ever tell you no because that's up to the elected body, but at least submit something, because I think if it was unique enough, if you think of something that was built right out to the road and the pumps were on the back and it was done uniquely, maybe that could be something the commission would consider. But it's all, until they submit something, it's no, of course. But yeah, I like the idea of the convenience market, especially out on Golden Bear, because a lot of traffic that comes out that way and really no place to stop and get some snacks or gasoline or whatever.
More sales tax collections close to the interstate. That's a good thing.
It is. I was actually talking to our elected body. There's a big developer that wants to put in another building similar to a FedEx building, but it would be right beside FedEx, and that on the out parcels, there'd be about 8 out parcels right there. And if everybody remembers how Eastgate goes to the auto auction on Eastgate Boulevard, it dead ends really, really close to Mount Juliet. So if you go to the auto auction, you've got to go to 109 and almost all the way back to Golden Bear to visit the auto auction. Well, personally, I'd like to see that open at some point, that connection be made. So if this developer went in there, then you'd get a lot of that traffic that comes out from Eastgate on the Lebanon side. It would come out to Golden Bear. Well, I know it creates traffic, but it also creates revenue. And it just makes a lot of sense. I don't know when that'll happen. Personally, I'd like to see it happen because I think it'd be better for those users, and it'd also be good for the retailers and businesses along Golden Bear because it sits so close to I-40.
I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure that if I was the mayor of Lebanon, I'd never cut that road through.
Yeah, exactly. I think you're right, Mark, and I don't blame them either, but I'm just looking at it from, I guess, of a making sense type of setup. It would be good if I'm at the auto auction. Of course, I'd love it. And if everybody knows how the auto auction works, when they buy those cars there, every car that's driven away normally needs gas. they're going to go to the gas station, maybe buy a snack or whatever. So yeah, you're right. I think you're spot on, Mark. I don't know if they'd ever want that connection to be made either, but for practicality purposes, it'd make a lot of sense.
No.
But I understand that for protection purposes as well.
For the customer, it'd be an awesome idea. For
It
the
would
type,
be, exactly.
type
But
of
Golden Bear is just,
over on 109, not so much. But
yeah, but Golden Bear is going to be awesome. You can see all the new road improvements going in out there as we speak, because of the Amazon project, decel lanes, extended turning lanes, traffic signals will be going in. The greenway will be extended, along Golden Bear, and also a 5-acre tract was donated to the city to be used as a trailhead / fire department location. And so that trailhead, when it opens, will actually have a restroom facility at it, which is pretty cool. So you have power, lighting, all that in it. And a lot of folks say, well, why would somebody use it? And I said, well, if you really look at the way Golden Bear is set up with the bike lanes, there's already a lot of greenway there. If you look over close to FedEx, well, that's going to be extended even further. And you can actually go up now and around Medline and the SEVA buildings, things of that nature. And there's a complete greenway system across those buildings. A lot of people just don't realize they're there.
the former mattress store by Tiger Market, I think you mentioned last month about that, if I'm not mistaken. And whether it was COVID or the tornado, um, while I wish we didn't even have the emissions testing and they're going away, getting it back in Mount Juliet, any plans for them to re-engage the emissions testing, or are they just going to scrap it?
No, Mark, I got great news. They actually started again last Wednesday, and we tried to do a notification through our blog and also with some signage out there, but I know it's tough to get that word out. They opened last Wednesday, and they're back full service again. And our hope is to try to bring in a second location, but that wouldn't make sense at this point since they're probably going to eliminate it.
Right.
So just to have them back in operation there would be great. But when we talked to the governor's office, we think we're closer than ever to that phasing out. But of course, that had to be decided at the federal levels. What's taking it a while, but I think that will be gone in the near future.
And the former mattress store?
Yeah, there was a pediatrics practice that was looking at that, and of course, when COVID came in, it slowed that way down. My understanding is they're still looking at that because that's a unique location. It's tough to get in and out of there. But it would be perfect for pediatrics location because if you can pay attention to what you're doing, it'll function. It functioned fine when it was the mattress store. It functioned safely, and I think a similar use would go quite well there. And Mark, since we're in that area, I was going to tell somebody what I think's exciting. If everybody remembers the old Orbit health food location, it was right there just on the north side of Exxon. Dr. Truett Ellis, who owns that building, they dressed it up. They sort of redid it and made it look really nice. They took the old island down and the canopy and all that was out in the parking lot. I know it's a little bit unique of a place to get in and out of, but the exciting news is that the Subway that closed in Paddocks is building a brand new location in that building. And there's also a new business going in right beside it. And it's a lot like a Chipotle. And I encourage everybody that's listening to go and check on your internet. It's called Bubba. Yep, Bubba, just like Bubba, Koos, Koos. And it's a lot like a Chipotle. They're going in the other side of that building. So that building's going to be 100% leased. And I think it's going to be actually a pretty darn good location for them. It's a national franchise. So there's many of them across the country, but there's none in this part of the country. It's almost like the Jeremiah's that's going at near the Christmas store. They're in Florida and places like that, but they're new to Tennessee. And it's almost like the chicken salad chick. They've got a letter of intent here, and I need to follow back up with them because the last time we spoke, of course, with the COVID, they'd slowed things down. But having that letter of intent speaks volumes about Mount Juliet. And we may not know it, and we may not pat ourselves on the back enough, and that sounds braggadocious, and it's not meant to be, but you would not believe the people that are reaching out to the city of Mount Juliet as a result of what everybody out there with the chamber and our business community and our citizens, what they're doing. I know that sounds hokey, but it's so true. The meetings I'm having from people are as exciting as what we would have dealt with 5 and 10 years ago. I know COVID's got us, distracted, and politics has us a little bit distracted, and it can make it depressing at times. But in reality, we are in a perfect location in Mount Juliet, Tennessee, because of our proximity and all that's going on here to the airport in Nashville. We've always said that, and it's even more so today. So these little businesses that are popping in and what you could consider a very unique and trying time speaks volumes to me. And if you give an example, I'll go ahead and put this out there. We've got an organization that's looking between 200 and 500 acres in the city of Mount Juliet. I'll put it this way, it's athletic related, and they've done facilities in Austin, Texas. Their headquarters is in Orlando, Florida. So if you want to do a little cheating, you can probably find out big sports facilities that are in Orlando. And they really want to be in Mount Juliet. They looked at us, they looked at Williamson County, they looked at Nashville. The land values are too expensive in Franklin and Williamson County, and they really like the proximity to the airport here. So they were in town last week looking. We're trying to show them every piece of property we possibly can that's got at least 200 acres and up to 500 acres. And all I can tell you is if we could get this facility here, what it does is more so than just the facility itself, it brings a lot of development with it. Office, medical, retail. And you could see why retail would want to come to it, because if I could tell you today what it is, and I know it's like, well, thanks, Kenny, for the tickler, it's pretty awesome. And so it just comes down to some of the particulars about land costs and things of that nature, but they are very excited, and this is a real deal opportunity for the city of Mount Juliet.
Keep your foot on the gas, brother.
Yep, Bel-Air at Beckwith is one option. Balt's property is another option. Providence Central is one option. I don't know that they would entertain selling their property for this particular use. And then there's another big retailer that wants about 100,000 square feet. They really want to be in Mount Juliet, but they got to be as close as they can to Providence. And they got to have a 10-acre site. So if anybody knows of anybody in the Providence area, you start thinking of Providence Central, right? Again, I know that thing was approved, and the first thing you think of is the apartments. But once you take that 200 acres and you say, okay, we got an apartment complex. If you remember, the commission required a pad for Class A office. Imagine if all of a sudden there's 10 acres needed. And everybody let your imaginations go a little bit and think of who would normally need 10 acres. And I can tell you it's in that realm. And that's the exciting thing about when you get an approved project real close to the interstate and potential interchange and with interstate visibility.
And a great business climate.
That's exactly right. So that's exciting things that in this climate. So I could go on and on, but I'm here to answer questions. Mark, you just throw them my way.
Well, there's a few questions in there. If you would, you can either take the questions, or I was asked to make sure that we got a little bit of an update on the tornado recovery. I know there's buildings going through the planning commission to rebuild. I'm also kind of on the outer markers hearing some horror stories of people that are really running into snags, whether that's on their insurance company or what, but still a lot of blue tarps 6 months later. And then a COVID-19 update. Good news, the county mayor had on the radio this morning, and maybe a couple of thoughts about that, and then we'll take some questions.
Yeah, the tornado stuff, as everybody knows, we've had calls from folks thinking maybe it was a city thing, and we're trying to do everything we can here at City Hall to expedite, because we understand, especially people that were knocked out of their homes, they're living in guest houses and apartments and hotels and you name it, and we want them back in their homes as well. But bless their hearts, a lot of these folks, and I hate to blame anything on insurance for anybody that's in the insurance business, because the folks we have are great, but unfortunately, some of these companies just hadn't been as quick to respond as some of the folks would like. For example, you can think of the school system. They've got 2 schools up there, and it's not always the insurance company's fault. There's just a lot of moving pieces that they have to go through. I'd say some of it could be insurance company related. So we're going to be talking to the Department of Commerce tomorrow, actually Wednesday, meeting with them just to see what we can do to help, see if we can figure out some of the issues that's been created for some of these folks. But luckily, I think we're finally getting there. For example, Dr. Davis's building up on Mount Juliet Road, it was finally demoed here recently. And I think they were genuinely just not in a rush because they were waiting on their insurance company to sort of settle up with them to decide what their next move is. And since they're moving their offices to Charlie Daniels, they decided, hey, I think now they're starting to think, what's the next best move for that property? Do they go back and build something on the same footprint, or do they go bigger? And if they go bigger, what's that building going to look like? And then, of course, you come back to Planning Commission. If you build on the same footprint, square footage, you don't have to come to Planning Commission. But if you want to go bigger, you do. And that makes sense because you've got stormwater issues and things of that nature. So, yeah, it's been frustrating for some folks, but a lot of it is outside of the city's hands. But where we can expedite for them, we're doing that through the planning process. Of course, everybody knows the city decided to waive all fees related to residential buildings, and there's quite a few of those in, Triple Crown and Clearview, and back in the back where you got Catawba and all that. And unfortunately, back in there took a big impact, and we had 3 deaths in our community as a result of that. So we are going to be building a bit of a tribute memorial at the truck display on Mount Juliet Road, because we feel like that was a symbolic location of where everybody gathered the morning of the tornado. About 1:30 in the morning, there was all the emergency vehicles right on that section of Mount Juliet Road, and then we worked out from there. So we're going to be doing a memorial as a tribute to our community and sort of the Phoenix rising moment, I guess, that we're seeing in our community. And Mark, I know you asked some other things there. Make sure I got everything.
Now, just maybe if from a city's perspective on the COVID update, seems like every time we turn around, y'all will be handed another executive order from the governor's office. And has it calmed down a little bit on your end?
It has. I think what's happened now, what helped a lot actually, is when they mandated, the businesses started mandating it, like in the restaurants and the grocery stores and Publix and things of that nature. I think that helped a ton, because it sort of gets you, that's what we all had to go to the grocery store. We all had to go to banks and things of that nature. And so once they mandated it, I think it took away a lot from the state or cities or counties having to make those decisions, because we all just sort of getting used to it. I mean, if I went in somewhere the other day and inadvertently I just forgot to put it in my pocket, and I was already in the store doing my business, and it hit me. I was like, darn, I didn't bring my mask in. And luckily nobody said anything to me, so I immediately went back out and got it. I don't know if anybody else has had that happen to them or not, but I've gotten so much more accustomed. It's just second nature now to me. And when you mess up, you feel like you catch yourself messing up, but luckily nobody confronted me and like, hey, what are you doing? By the time I realized it, I got out. So I think that's helped a ton. I mean, I see people that are, we do a really good job here at City Hall and other places. I try to be aware of that when I go into other people's businesses. So I think the numbers have improved as a result of that. And now that we're close to a vaccine, we'll get through this. I'm preaching to the choir. Everybody out there's dealing with the same things that I am. I even feel guilty if I'm around family. When we had this family function this weekend, I took a mask with me, and you quickly realize that your family is just not going to wear a mask around one another for the most part. But I tried. We did try to social distance. We didn't do a bunch of hugging and and handshaking and all that. So yeah, I think it's gotten a lot better here, and I think pretty much everybody's got a mask now and knows what to do and not do, and cleaning surfaces. So yeah, we're doing quite well there.
It's more difficult for you than it is for me, because most of my family is perfectly fine social distancing from me. So
yeah, nobody's complaining about me covering this up either, Mark. It's like, man, they encouraged me to get a bigger mask.
Now's a great time to have at least good eyes, pretty eyes if you can. But
yeah,
Hudson Peel was wanting to follow up. Are you able to say where the Chicken Salad Chicks location is going to be yet?
Well, one of the places they're looking, I can tell you, it's in the Paddocks area. Right. That's actually a good development. It's like with anything else. Once you know something's in there that you want to partake in, not everything has to be on Mount Juliet Road, but that's the general vicinity they're looking. But that's not etched in stone. And if they build there, it'd be a freestanding building, which I think would be super awesome. And you got to think at some point in the future, when Central Pike Interchange comes in, that connectivity to the new interchange is going to be a lot better than what it is today. It won't be the little narrow road that you see just past Rocky Williams. And plus, you've got other businesses that can still locate in the Paddocks development. For example, the new daycare that's going in there. The new strip center is built where, you've got the new business where the IHOP is. So yeah, it's sort of in that general area, but it's not etched in stone there. So if that didn't work out, we're going to put them somewhere in Mount Juliet.
Is this their second location, and the other one, I know they have one in Hendersonville. Is this just their second location?
I think there's one in Franklin. I'm almost certain there's one in Franklin, Tennessee. Okay. It could be others, but I remember when we were at a ECD conference in Franklin, we got to go by and visit it, and that's when I reached out to them years ago. And at that time, they weren't looking for an expansion. So, again, what brings them to your community is what everybody out there listening is doing. It's, again, we take it for granted sometimes. We're here every day, but outside of Mount Juliet, Tennessee, Mount Juliet's ranked very high in people's minds, and they want to be here. So keep up the good work. And I was going to tell you what, since you mentioned Miss Tina, I was at her office last week. She'd asked about the light at North Green Hill Road as to whether or not that would stay. And we think now that the light has moved down to Benton Douglas, even though there's a part of me that'd like to see it stay, because it's sort of handy and it's there and it can't hurt. The state, I think we've made an agreement with them that when we move the light to Benton Douglas, that the light at Green Hill would come out because it's no longer warranted, if that makes sense. It's nice, but it's just not warranted. So that'll be coming out at some point. And they'll probably shut it off here real soon now that the light's up at Benton Douglas. I just didn't want to forget that.
Move that rascal over to Oak Hall and Timber Trail over there by Camp Bow Wow, because this morning when we were coming into work, I noticed somebody pulling right out of Camp Bow Wow and somebody turning left out of Timber Trail and Oak Hall, and that's an accident waiting to happen. That's a busy corner right there in the morning. I know there'll be a light there before too long, but
Well, you know, Mark, that makes a lot of sense because when Capstone comes in, you know, they were going to generously donate like $70,000 or close to it to go toward the engineering. So the state, if we can get them to approve the warrant study and say, yes, it's warranted, that's a great idea to move that light there, because that was part of the initial concern is cost. You know, you got to be able to pay for it. Well, if you got most of your cost already covered from a lot that's already bought and paid for, that we're just going to stockpile. So that's an excellent idea.
you know, you were talking about the business climate and people still wanting to come here. In the month of July, Mount Juliet, the city had 18 new business licenses.
Mhm.
So I want to put a plug in too for Mount MJ for Hope. I missed this last Monday, but a week ago Saturday, they had a massive turnout for their annual golf tournament and raised well over $20,000 for the local tornado relief efforts. So even though it's been many, many months ago, it's still top of mind for those guys, and they're still making a difference. So appreciate what they're doing. Anybody got any, oh, Kathy Hall said there's a chicken salad chick in Murfreesboro.
Okay, good.
I didn't know.
Hey, Mark, I was going to add too, when you think of economic development, you know, think of all these convenience markets, assisted living facilities, things of that nature, the Pinnacle Bank building with Steve going in there and modifying that. You know, that's a redevelopment type situation. Sidewalks along Lebanon Road, the Taco Bell, then they'll come back and, you know, and remodel the Kentucky Fried Chicken. That's a renewed life. You think of the Green Hill Women's Club where the clerk's office is going. You know, I was talking to Mayor Hutto, and they're, you know, not only are they going there with the larger space, they're looking at maybe bringing another service that we usually have to go to Lebanon for, to the county courthouse in Lebanon, to the location behind City Hall here in their old location. Those are all exciting things. You know, you think about, I call it the Boot Barn Center, which is, you know, the old Boot Barn Center where the church used to be. When that burned, they're rebuilding that now. You go down to the car wash by Tractor Supply, you know, that'll be going away, and O'Reilly Auto Parts going there. You know, I think the auto parts store here next to is doing an expansion remodel, and then we're trying to get an auto parts store on the south side of the city, because, you know, we've been trying to do that for years. Well, now with rent rates being a little bit lower, it makes more sense for auto parts stores that they can afford to locate in the Providence area. So you know, I know that everybody loves Pier 1, but unfortunately they're closing all their stores. So you start thinking, would a really nice, you know, auto parts store work there? Would that be okay? Well, it beats an empty space, and it would be a great convenience for the folks on the south side of the city. And we think we might have a potential tenant for the, you know, Chuck E. Cheese. Unfortunately, that'll be going out. I know people hate that, but they're closing most all of them, if not all of them. The theater will be opening up real soon. I know that Lane Bryant and Justice are closing in Providence, and this is not a knock on them at all. We hate to lose any kind of business, but we will refill those spots. We will put new tenants in those spots, and we're already working with some tenants. I talked to Dave over there. He's the general manager, and so, you know, the Men's Warehouse, you know, you heard about a lot of those stores closing. Mount Juliet location is not one of those. The Mount Juliet store here is one of their better performers, along with JCPenney. So there's a lot of great news. You know, for example, Mark, you're familiar, we've been working with a new car dealer, and that process is moving quite well through the system. And, you know, car sales in Mount Juliet, Tennessee is a good thing for our economy, and we're real close to hopefully getting another one.
You mentioned Jeremiah's.
Yes, yeah, Jeremiah's, they're looking to locate right beside the Dunkin' Donuts that's over here by the Christmas store, and Seller Station, as we're calling it, right across from Mr. Seller's other development. And what's neat about it, for those of us old enough to remember the song Jeremiah Was a Bullfrog, their logo is the bullfrog. And it just looks like a really cool place. Looks like it'd be something that people would really enjoy in Mount Juliet. So I like throwing those out there because it's always good news to get a new business, because with this development, everything in there is going to be brand new. So everything that goes in there, it's basically in a brand new building. So the sooner it builds up and fills up, the better we get that synergy downtown, especially with Northtown, Village coming in there.
That his little 2-story office retail right by the train tracks is coming along nice too. And you add that to the new train station parking lot, along with Vintage Station North. 12 months from now, walking distance around the train station is going to look very, very different than it does right now.
Exactly. Imagine that all cleaned up, that little retail building out on the front. And of course, you heard from their presentation last week, they've got some retail in the development itself as well as out there on the road. Imagine that all cleaned up, grass growing again, and just beautified, a lot of synergy, people living there, coming and going. Yeah, I'm excited about it. I think it's a great development and just ties in real well with what you guys have done at the chamber, Mark, and what Mr. McDowell's done over there with that development. It's finally starting to come together. And we think the little owner of the little gas station right there at the tracks, I think we've about got him talked into removing that facility and building a little retail center there to sort of upgrade that area as well.
Just imagine one of these days we'll be at an open air 4th floor roof party over at Vintage Station with some lights and hot cider and cocktails, and just looking at all the hustle and bustle and people shopping in downtown Mount Juliet for Christmas. How about that? So,
Exactly right. Exactly right. And to open up a new, what is it, $100 million high school, that's not a bad thing either.
yeah,
Pretty impressive.
It's pretty good right here now. Kathy, she said it's an upscale snow cone place.
Mhm.
Italianized snow cones, Jeremiah's.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, she put their website on there if y'all want to take a look at that. But does anybody have anything else for Kenny today? We've kind of run over just a little bit, but
I do, Mark, real fast. Kenny, I hate to be a pain in your neck, and we've talked about this before. And I got to run off and give blood. And I haven't listened to the whole thing because I had somebody sitting on my desk, but I don't know where we are. But, we've talked about, because I work on a side street and I come off of side streets going into school zones. Well, this morning I came to work, and the high school looks beautiful, but I come off of Needmore Road, and I have no idea that I was in a school zone. And then I went and got my car washed at Wash and Roll, and I come off of that street, and I still didn't realize I was in a school zone. So these little side streets, because I work over here off of Charlie Daniels and Woodbridge is right there.
Uh-huh.
You have no idea when you're inside a school zone, and it's really, I feel bad because you pull off Needmore, you just start driving towards Lebanon Road. And I saw, all of a sudden I saw school guards, and I had no idea I was in the school zone. I just wanted to let you know that I'm not going to be the only person who doesn't know, and it could become a dangerous situation.
No, and I know you and I talked about the one, I think it was on Woodard's, and I hope they added that sign. I know I put a request in at Public Works. So Michael, what I'll do is I'll reach out to them and see if we can't get some side street signs. The basic say, we're going to have to think of how they read, because if you put too much information on a sign, it just won't get read. That we can just say school zone, like such and such time to such and such time, Monday through Friday or something. But I'll talk to Mr. Barlow and see if we can't get some signs on some of these side streets so that if people pull out in the mornings, whatever, they realize they're in the school zone.
Yeah, because you come out where, I don't know what the road is there by the bank, the Southern Bank or whatever it is right there in the corner in Wash and Roll. There's a lot of people who live up in that area, and you pull out and you have no idea you're in the school zone. And or if the lights are flashing, you just have no idea. So just a safety thing.
No, thank you, Michael. I appreciate you pointing that out.
yeah, coming off of Needmore, you're actually coming out of the county into the city, so the county may even want to be involved in that a little bit too. So
yeah, you're right, Mark. They'll probably have to be, because of course the county doesn't like it if we just go put signs up in the county. So we'll reach out to them, Steve Spencer and some of the others, and see what we can find out and get that taken care of.
I'll tell you what, I know at least several of you on here are getting ready to run to Rotary Club over at Victory Baptist at 12 o'clock. You still have time to pick up your lunch and make it. If nobody has anything else, Marla, you see anything?
No, I think we're good.
Thanks,
All right.
everybody.
Kenny, want to tell you, thank you again. Everybody, if you want to, when you see Marla post this recording on social media, please share it along with the other ones. This month we have, or this week we have our monthly luncheon. Networks is tomorrow. Got a mural unveiling in Lebanon on the county's unveiling one on Thursday afternoon. Thursday at lunch is our Leadership by the Book in the park meeting at the farmers market, and our young professionals are meeting on Friday morning. You learn more about all of that on our calendar of events on the chamber website. Give us a call or stop by. I think with that, Kenny, again, thank you. Everybody have a great week.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.